We're going?
Yes, we are.
In three,
Are we live?
two.
We're live.
What's up, guys? This is KSHMR. We're about to start this live stream about the new website, Dharma Worldwide. It's very exciting. I'm here checking out all the comments from you guys. I'm responding to the comments. Where's everybody from, first of all? I want to hear a little rattle off your countries. Where you guys from? ¿De dónde son? Kaha se hai? Namaskar, Kashmir. What's up, Sai? Okay, I see some minds are being blown. We got some head popping off emojis. Niles is in the house. Niles is in the house. Demos. I'm going to be talking about demos. I want to hear you guys' demos. We're going to be talking about what we need to hear in the demos because we want to sign you guys to Dharma, but we gotta get the right sound from you, and so we're going to talk about that too. What do we have? We got Fabian. Loves Kashmir. I love you too. And by the end of this, you're going to love Dharma. You won't just love Kashmir, hopefully. Let's see here. Hello, how Kongsai Gaming. Yeah, speaking of gaming, this is my first time doing a Twitch sort of thing. I got Dharma team, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but they got this set up. India. India's in the house. Always. Hi from Austria. Beautiful. Love Austria. Love Austria. Uzbekistan. Man, that's the beauty of the internet. Uzbekistan in the house. India. A lot of India. That's why we did this live stream at this time, because we really wanted to connect with India especially. Ecuador. ¿Qué onda? Argentina. Taiwan. By the way, I know this is a crazy time. How's everybody dealing with now? Are you guys home? Are you safe? I'm curious about that. We've been hiding out a little bit. I'm a music producer, so I'm usually antisocial. Hasn't changed a lot. But has it affected your guys' lives? I'm checking this out. Affected your lives a lot? What are you guys doing to deal with the quarantine? Yeah, comments of, well, I'll just click the new message button. Whew. I think we're getting too many comments or something. I've broken the stream, the internet. You want to check this out? Oh, okay, it just popped up. It just popped up. Damn, Italy. Whew. Italy's got it bad right now, man. You guys doing okay over in Italy? How are you holding up? Hello from Myanmar. Love Myanmar. Saludo desde Chile. Yeah, I wish you guys a lot of health, a lot of safety. Hola, Mexico. All right, beautiful. Are we all here? Should we dive into it? What do you guys think? Okay, so guys, I want to hang out with you. I'm going to answer some questions. But first, I want to tell you guys a little bit about the Dharma website. So, the Dharma site is something new that we've just launched that is really for producers to offer them the resources that I wish I had when I was getting started with music production. We offer in two plans. So there's a free plan, which still offers you a lot of great stuff. And then there's a pro plan, which is how we're going to stay in business and keep offering you great stuff. Even the pro plan is just $10 a month. I think it's generally affordable. The main differences are that we have content that's original that we've created, that's taken a lot of time and resources, and that is for the pro plan. And we have some smaller packs that are for the free plan. When it comes to demos and getting your feedback on demos, people with the free plan will get feedback if we like it. But people with a pro plan will always get feedback. You'll always get our opinion on something. If it's something you're working on, we'll try to help you make it better. So the pro plan is guaranteed feedback. The free plan is not, basically. Templates are another thing that we offer. They come in the form of a few coins, so it'll cost a couple thousand coins to get a template. And if you have a pro account, you have 10,000 every month. So you actually have quite a lot that you with the pro plan. We try to give you as many resources as possible. And if you have a free plan, there's a couple things that will make sure that we're providing as well. But obviously the pro plan if you can spare the $10 a month, I think is the way to go. Where of course we want to offer you the best experience, but these things take money. So that's the idea behind the Pro plan. So yeah, when it comes to submitting demos, this is a part that's really special to us. Of course, demos are how we keep Dharma putting out good music. You'd be surprised how many of the songs that we put out on Dharma actually come from just random demos that we get in our email. It's not like there's some insider trading of demos of the higher echelon of producers. It really comes from every place you could imagine. And with the Dharma website, it's now really easy to submit a demo. I can show you. You just go over here, you click on submit a demo, you drag it in, and as you can see here again, pro users, guaranteed feedback on the submissions. Basic users will still live, but it's not necessarily given that you'll receive feedback. So anyway, we're here at the submitted demo, you drag it in, and now when we get demos, they're very well organized. I get to click on my favorites, I get to keep tabs on it. We used to do it through email, and it was tough to keep up. But now the demo process, which is so important to us, is very organized, and we're always making sure that nothing falls through the cracks, that we're listening to everything. So please, guys, if you sign up, make sure you submit your demos, because that's the bread and butter of what we do. We want to hear new music, and we want to put out your music. So that's submitting a demo. Templates, I'm very proud of. One of my favorite ways to learn to this day, is to go on YouTube and find some young kid who's made a song that I like that just came out. He'll remake it. He'll call it Ableton Remake, and I'll download it. And I'll start to study and see how he did the things that he did in that production. And this is after 20 years of producing. I mean, I've been producing a long time, and I still will open up, some young guy's template on YouTube, because I don't always want to watch a tutorial. Sometimes with tutorials, you got talks, and you just want to open up a template and you want to see what they actually did. And I want to learn for myself. So templates are a great way to just open it up and stop walking and get right into a project that you think sounds good and see how they made it sound good. So I'm very proud of the template section. The sound pack section, of course, I've become known for my sound packs with the Sounds of KSHMR. We have a lot of great packs. Now it's not just me, but it's a team of producers that I trust that are making smaller packs. The Sounds of KSHMR ones are super big. These are more focused, which I think is nice. If you need new percussion hits, then you can download the Dharma Percussion Hits Volume 1, the 808s over here. So they're more specialized and they're very curated. So we're not just giving you a bunch of crap. We're just trying to give you a very select collection of great 808s or great percussion hits. Also, one very cool thing is with the songs that come out on Dharma, we make sure that we create little accompanying packs. So my instance, you can download the My Best Life pack, and then you get a little sampler of the sounds that came in My Best Life. So I'll show you an example here. Here, going to samples, and I'll go into my Dharma packs. So there we go. My Best Life. Here's are we getting a stream of the audio from here, or how does that work? Yeah. Is that going for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So here's a bass shot. Here's one of the clap loops. Here's a cool little clap, build up. Nice. So it's cool. It's like when a song comes out on Dharma and you're like, oh, I like that sound, you can have it. That's sort of the whole ethos of Dharma, is that we don't want to treat these sounds as if you have to hoard them so somebody else can't make a song like yours. I want you guys to make more songs. I've loved making sample packs, and I've loved seeing what you guys make with the sample packs, and that inspires me in return as a producer. Dharma, we want to create these packs so you can get the sounds that you like from those songs. So being a member has a lot of perks, if I do say so myself. I mean, look at this. So many songs that have come out on Dharma, you can just download this from and get your production sounding like the stuff that we put out. The stuff that's frankly really quality, professional sounding stuff. So you have that. And then, of course, I save the best for last, and that's really the tutorials. I've done little tutorials in the past. For Dharma, it was the first time that I really got in a studio, professional studio, made a professional. and I created Dharma Essentials. And Dharma Essentials covers all the basics of music production. So this is really for someone who's getting into it or wants to revise, the basics that they've learned before. But let me go over everything from delay to reverb to mixing a whole drop to mixing the synths. It's like a 15-part course or something. It's quite a big course that we've done. Here we got 10 on the first page. On the second page, there's 3 more. Okay, so it comes out to 13, and this is just a great course for you to get started and really get introduced to production. If you've never produced before, you can just get all the basics. And in the past with tutorials, I always skipped over the basics. So I thought the best way to introduce a Dharma website would be to start fresh. Let's cover everything from the beginning, and then we move on to the more complicated stuff. So that's Dharma Essentials, and you get that with the pro account. If you have a free account, you get a few of them as well. The first 4, I believe it is, right? And Lessons of Dharma is really cool. We've got an in-house producer, really smart kid. And he's going to go over all of the techniques that you hear in songs that are coming out now. How to do better 808s, better bass. Brandon is great for explaining that stuff. And you can see, here's our handsome Brandon right there. So he'll be going over that. And Lessons of Dharma Artist Series. That artists who have released on Dharma to break down the songs that you hear. So when there's a release on Dharma, we really encourage our artists to make a tutorial explaining it. And we've had some really generous, great artists, and we will continue to, who have made tutorials explaining their songs. Like here you have Mariana Bo. And I love that. I love learning from someone who's released a song. You don't want to learn from somebody who's they haven't made anything that interests you. It's so great to hear a producer and respect that producer. You like their music, and then to hear what they have to say, right? Because there's so much chat and people say a lot of crap and you really don't know what's good. But when you know you like somebody's music, it's a great starting point for caring about what they say as a teacher. Lessons of Kashmir Legacy Series. This is a collection of the Lessons of Kashmirs that I've done before. We just wanted to make it convenient for you, put them in one place. And finally, the Lessons of Kashmir is where I keep going beyond the basics of music production into more complicated subjects that even seasoned producers will find quite interesting. So this will be in line with the previous Lessons of Kashmir that I had done. And these will be coming soon. I've already recorded a few of them, so we're just getting the edits done. So as you can see, we've got a lot going on in the tutorials. This is really a hub for you guys to learn. We want to make sure that the absolute beginners have something to check out, that it won't go over their head. Dharma Essentials is great for that. Brandon goes over a lot of great topics of music that's, current, new techniques that are coming out. The Artist Series, it's self-explanatory. The artists on Dharma, you've heard their track, you like it, hopefully. And now you get to see how they made it beautiful. Lessons of Kashmir, that's just me blabbing like I'm doing now, but more concise and more informative. So there's a lot to be had in the tutorial section. So sound packs, templates, releases, of course, are the songs that we're releasing on Dharma. And I gotta say, we've had some really great ones recently. My favorite of the moment is this new one, Silver Moon. Of course, you're gonna find all of my music on here. Go check if you haven't. Got a really crazy music video, and the song is super catchy. I really knew I loved that one right away. And again, that goes back to submitting the demos. One of the first songs that we signed was by Pade. And I knew I'd love this song instantly. And he had never released a song before. I don't think. Not a song that I had known of. Definitely not a song on Dharma. And I heard it just sifting through demos. And it was instant. So I really encourage you guys to send your demos, because we are listening. And when something special catches our ear, we're going to put it out and we're going to give everything we have to promoting it. It started a beautiful relationship with Pade. I mean, now we're in communication all the time. We're putting out more songs from Pade. So I think that's a great example of, if you submit the right song, it could start this relationship with me and the whole team on Dharma, and we can really help each other out. So yeah, submit your demos. So that really covers the Dharma website. If you look here at the coins, when you sign up, you're going to get coins and you can spend them on all this cool stuff. It's a pretty familiar system. You go over here to your account. You can see we've created this account just for the purpose of this demonstration. You go in account settings, you create your own profile. And then when you go to demos and you've created your own profile, every time you submit it, we have your profile. So you're not explaining who you are every time. We have an idea of who you are, and it's a beautiful, simple system. So we get familiar with each other and everything stays organized. I'm really proud of this. We've had a lot of great help from the team. Shout out Sebastian is out there. Shout out Trevor. Shout out Andrew is not pictured right now. Carly. But it's a really beautiful team, and we're always monitoring and listening to your guys' feedback. That's another thing. With the website, it is a new website. If anything ever doesn't work, if you email us or send us a message, we will right away look into it. We're always fixing small things, always listening to you guys. Also, if it's not a technical thing, if it's just something that you want to see, if it's new types of tutorials, new types of sound pack, tell us. We're in this process right now where we're changing things all the time. We have the ability to change and add new things. We're a super big company. So if you have ideas, give it to us, and we can make these changes, and we can try to make it the best website for you possible. So I think we pretty much, felt pretty thorough. One thing I mentioned was the templates. And here's an example of what a template looks like. So I've opened it up in my DAW. My DAW of choice is Ableton. And you get to go here and listen to this track. Really well organized, I gotta say. Kind of dope. So as you guys can see, if someone were to do a tutorial, one of these things, it would take, 14 hours or something. In the template, you can just open it up. You can look at all the leads. And if you have the appropriate synths, then you can just unfreeze them and open them up. If you don't have all the synths, that's okay because they're all frozen. So this project will still open for you flawlessly. But if you do have the synths, you can open those up. You can see how the synths were done. You can see how all the drum programming is done. And me, when I listen to this, I'm like, this sounds pretty damn good. If I was to start a new Psy idea or something, I'd probably steal some of these drums. I'd reappropriate some of these drums and, drag them into my project. That's a big thing that I'll do with templates. I'll just take little, maybe it's a drum group or something. And to save myself time, I'll bring it over and suddenly I have nice drums to go over my kick. And I'll change them later maybe, but it's a great placeholder. Just when you're making music, you just want things to start sounding good as quickly as possible. So I think there's no shame in using templates. I love using templates. This is a great template. And this is what you'll get if you get the pro account on Dharma. So yeah, if you get a pro account, you can download templates, spend it on templates, spend it on sound packs. You guys get the idea. The pro account's definitely something to think about. So, all right, we're going to go right into some production questions that you guys have. Maybe I'll check the live feed. Oh yeah, and by the way, when it comes to FL Studio and other DAWs, these things are totally applicable. We're going to be putting templates out, not just for Ableton, but for other DAWs. All of the sound packs work for every DAW. All the information in the tutorials is useful for every DAW. So don't feel like just because you see me using Ableton that these things will only work on Ableton, okay? All right. Okay, let's see here. All right, so we got some production questions. Do you prefer mixing with headphones versus mixing with monitors? Question. Hardwell once told me that all of his earlier stuff he mixed on headphones, and that was great because the stereo image was always very consistent. The bass was always consistent. Depending on where you sit, the bass tends to change a little bit if you're listening to speakers. I like listening to speakers though. There's something about being in headphones that makes me feel a bit closed off. A big part of my process in the sense of life, that's kind of moving around, and having the headphones on sort of closes me off to the world. So I really like speakers. Of course, we make dance music, so you want to hear bass. It's not to say that some headphones don't have good bass. There's these ones called Neurophones. They have a little subwoofer they put inside of your ear. Those can be okay, but personally, I like to mix on speakers. And if you're curious what kind of speakers I use the Atom S3Hs. I have them here right now. I probably can't see them. S3Hs are great speakers. Before I had the S3Hs, I had the much less expensive A77X, and I love those speakers. And the speakers that I started out on were the Genelec 1031s. If you really go back, I probably had some KRKs. But the 1031s, those lasted me a long time. Before I had KSHMR, I was doing the catalog songs like a G6 and all the music I made for Dev and Top of the World. All those songs were done on Genelecs. Genelecs are unforgiving speakers. You know, they overload and they have, you know, they add a lot of fluff to your music or make it sound better than it is. But honestly, sometimes I like speakers that make things sound better because process is not always about mixing. And this is one thing I really want to impart on you guys. Mixing, you know, it comes at the end and it can polish something, but you can't really polish a turd. And the idea is where it all starts. The idea is the most important thing. So when I look back on a lot of songs that made a difference in my life, they didn't make a difference in furthering my career because they had such a great mix. In a lot of cases, they had kind of crappy mixes. Like, frankly, Like a G6 had a lot of things wrong with it. There are other songs that, you know, it was more about the idea than the mix. And so don't get too focused on the mix. If you get some speakers that get you energized and you make good songs with them, maybe they're not perfect speakers, that's okay, you know. By the way, I do use headphones. I don't always use headphones, but when I do, I use these V-Moto ones, and they've always been really good for me. They've made me these custom headphones, these KSHMR headphones. So whenever you see me DJing, obviously when you DJ, you do need headphones. I'm always using these V-Motos, and they never let me down. And I'm not getting paid for that. I might get some free headphones for that, though. What do you do when you have producer block? Now, you know, I have, there's a couple things. I don't think stepping away and going on a vacation really helps. You know, I was watching Hans Zimmer's masterclass, and he said he'd get nervous if he'd ever been away too long from a piano. And I think it was, maybe he compared it to a faucet, or maybe I compared it to a faucet, but you know, the faucet's running sort of independently of you, this faucet of inspiration and creativity. And it's your job to put the cup under, the bucket under the faucet and catch what comes out. It's less about you and more about that faucet and just being available to the faucet for when the inspiration comes. So, of course, throughout the day, you should take little breaks, go for a little walk. Exercise helps, move your blood around. You know, a little caffeine doesn't hurt. You know, take a little, if something's going to help you out, a little caffeine, a little cheat code like that, I'm all for it. Go for it. Do whatever you can to get the inspiration to flow, but don't take it so easy on yourself and say, oh, I'm having writer's block. I'm just going to go take a little me day, a little spa day. No, you should really, I mean, anyway, my philosophy, often painful, but I just sit in front of a computer until it happens, and if nothing happens, I just go to bed and I feel like a worthless human being, and then I repeat the process the next day. That's what works for me. It's not universally applicable, but I would say that you guys don't delve and say, oh, I have writer's block. Just keep at it. Keep at it. You know what breaks writer's block? Writing something good. Oftentimes when you cross the finish line and you score a touchdown and you remember what that feels like, then you're back in the spirit of it. You're back in the mode, and you're going to score more touchdowns. That's what I find. Is Dharma Studio beneficial for producers that make other genres besides EDM? I don't know. Do you still need drums work? Do you still need to know how mixing works? If the answer to those questions is yes, then yes, Dharma is still applicable to you. Just because I make EDM, which by the way, I didn't always make EDM. I made a lot of hip-hop music. I made a lot of pop music. So these techniques are applicable across the board. If you need drums, if you need synths, if you need bass, all these things are pretty universal, and we cover all of them. So I think that Dharma is really useful for anyone who's making music period. Okay, Plex Music. I know this guy. What makes you decide if you need to EQ or compress a sound first? Well, if you're EQing a lot of the volume out of something, that is of course going to affect the compressor. So you want the compressor to be reacting to your sound as it is. So if that means you've cut out all the low end, then you want your compressor to be reacting to that. For instance, let's say I had a vocal that had some crazy bass in it. If I do the compressor before the EQ, the compressor is going to be reacting to all this crazy unnecessary bass that's in the vocal, right? And the compressor is going to be doing strange things. And then when you do the EQ before the compressor, now it's compressing only the information that you're actually hearing. So to get a compressor to react to what you're actually hearing, it's usually better to put the EQ before the compressor. Now this changes a little bit when you have special compressors that change the tone of your sound. There are compressors people like for this reason. Now if it changes the tone of your sound and you want to do some makeup EQ, maybe it's made your sound a little bit darker, so you want to do some makeup EQ, that's okay too. Honestly, it's not strange to see in my vocal chain an EQ into a compressor, into another EQ, maybe another compressor. I throw stuff on a chain until it sounds me, and you should do the same. There really is no rule except that it shouldn't suck. We got a guy named Rubik Cubic. He said, what plugin is best for vocals? So I haven't announced it officially yet, but I'll let you guys know I do have a plugin that's coming, and it's great for vocals and bass and just about everything. But if you're asking me personally, if you're going to add one thing, if you have the UAD plugins, which are expensive, I know not all you have, the Manly Voxbox is a great option. When I'm recording, I'll usually just stick that on. It gives you EQ control, de-essing control, compression control. If you don't have that, Nectar is a great option. Nectar comes from Isotope, and that is a one-stop shop that gives you EQ. It gives you a gate, I believe, de-essing, compression. Nectar is from Isotope. If you're not going to go that route, I can make a vocal sound pretty decent just doing stock stuff. I put on some glue compression, I'll put on a regular compressor, I'll put on some EQ. Those are the basics, guys. Honestly, a vocal can sound good with just some EQ and some compression. That's really the truth. That's not a cop-out, Mew.studio says, how do you make sound design unique? Not just synths and leads, but on an entire track. So, sound design can be interpreted in two ways. You could say it's the turning of the knobs inside of a synth. You could say it's the certain layering that you do that makes it unique. You take samples already, but you are very particular about the sounds that you choose. And that's picking the right palette. I think picking the right palette is more important than sound design generally. Sound design is important if you've got a synth and you want to know how to tweak it in the necessary ways to make it the sound that you want, right? You just have more options when you understand how a synth works. If it's got a layer of noise that you don't want, you know how to reduce that. You know how to reduce the release or the decay of a sound. But really all those things serve a singular purpose, which is to realize your choices, realize your palette and your taste. So I think sound design, how do you accomplish that? Well, you get better as a producer, and then you start becoming more particular about your taste and the decisions that you make. And you start saying no to more things. You don't just reach for the first snare that sounds decent. You reach for a snare that seems a part of the family of the sound that you are intending to make with this song. Let's say you want to make a song that feels like, it feels like Peru or something. So you look into the sound palette of Peru, and maybe you as an artist feel like your mixture is Peruvian meets psytrance, okay? Just throwing it out there. So you start to think about what that palette includes, and you start to make more choices that say no to things. No, I'm not going to use this snare because it's too clean. I want to use an ethnic percussion that sounds more native to Peru. And I'm going to use some psytrance sounds, but not all the psytrance sounds, maybe only the really hard ones. So not the softer basses, but I want to do the almost the more kind of hard style type of psy. So you start saying to more things. And in my opinion, that's how you make a palette. It's a lot easier to think about what you want to say no to, and you end up with a style at the end of that. That's very important, saying no, because there's a lot of great samples out there. And once you start constraining yourself, the constraints help a lot to create a certain sound. I think that's very important. If you listen to guys with a very specific sound, you'd see that they're using a lot of constraints. They won't just use every kind of sample. Sometimes it's always not the brightest or the biggest, but it still creates a very cool sound, and that's important to create rules for yourself in that way. They can be fun oftentimes. Favorite plugins for mastering? Any tips for mastering? I would say my mastering ends up being a combination of the iZotope stuff. I really like the Imager and T-Rax. I think T-Rax has done a great job of creating these sort of analog emulations. And they put it all in one suite for you, so you can add sort of like a custom shop, an EQ that you like, a multi-band compressor that you like. I think T-Rax has done a really great job. I generally now send my stuff off for mixing and mastering by this amazing guy named Bob Sandovy. He's part of the Crossnaders. He's an amazing mix and masterer. So I'll give him stems to the final mix master. But when I do master my songs so I can listen to them and so I can have a good rough version, I generally use T-Rax. And my favorite limiter is the invisible limiter. It's always been really good for me. If you want to do some multi-band compression, just so things glue, LinMB from Waves is good, or Pro MB, or you could just be an idiot like I am a lot of time. You could use the OTT setting and scale it back from Ableton. Not a good habit. It's a terrible habit, but I do use it. I do it. Random questions. We got a guy named Frankie Hyacinth. I'm not making this up. How do you choose your vocalist? So how do you choose your vocalist? A really important thing is songwriting. Not all good vocalists are great songwriters. There's a lot of great vocalists out there. Almost everybody, in their family has someone who can sing okay, but that's not really what makes great songs. Having good taste in the way that they write and writing interesting lyrics and melodies is really important. And then also having a great voice helps. One person that comes to mind right now is Kara. I really love working with Kara because she always comes up with really unique, interesting melodies and ideas and kind of works intelligently around the existing production. So when it comes to vocalists, in the past I've liked vocalists for me that don't sound too poppy because it doesn't really go with my sound. And for you, whatever your sound is, I really encourage you guys to find a vocalist, especially if you're getting started, and work with them a lot because it teaches you a lot as a producer. Because suddenly you're not just in there like this lone wolf, nerd. We're all pretty nerdy guys. Let's accept it. Who's with a computer producing. You're suddenly involved in another human being in the process. And everything that you do is in furtherance of the song that you've made together and in furtherance of the vocal and how to better create a song around their vocal. And so using an artist and building around them, it just really gives you a new energy that you can start really whipping out songs quickly, and you can learn how to produce, very quickly, I think, by using a vocalist. When I was getting started, it was my vocalist was this girl, Dev. And we did a lot. We did G6 together and Bass Down Low. And by producing all of her music, I really learned quickly how I would produce my own music and the decisions that I would make. Oftentimes when we're producing for ourselves, we want it to be this reflection of, everything about us. We're very sophisticated in our own mind, and we have trouble seeing our own selves in a simple way. Right? You try to do too much in one song. But when you look at a different artist, you can kind of create a canvas for them that is limited, not in a bad way, but it's limited in that you see a vision that is that has boundaries. And so you start working within those boundaries to create song artists. It's a lot easier to think of somebody else in a simple way than think of ourselves in a simple way. So working with a vocalist, working with another artist, it's really helpful to do that. Try producing for a singer 5 or 6 songs, and I think you'd learn a lot about producing and how to simplify. It really does help. Yeah. So Bishal asks, unique and new sounds attract me to a song. Your sounds are unique. How do you approach sound design? Do you go from scratch or tweak presets? So I love presets. I tweak presets. I'm usually not starting a patch from scratch. Sometimes I will. Sometimes if I know what I want, I'll just create it really quickly. But I love going through presets. They offer me, a world of different sounds that somebody else has made that can give me instant inspiration. And another thing that really helps me is incorporating a lot of real instruments. So I'm using Contact. I'm using Engine is another great one. It's like Contact, a sampler. I love incorporating real sounds into my music. And frankly, at a certain point, no matter how good you are with sound design, you're still making a synth. And a synth has a certain sound, right? When you use real instruments, you just get all kinds of weird accents and expression that you only get from a real instrument, that it goes out of tune, or it sounds like it's wailing. It has imperfections, and that adds a lot of soul to music. So one way to make your sound a little bit more soulful and unique is to use real instruments and utilize the imperfections that they offer. So yeah, I would say use more real instruments. It goes a long way. Paper Face Official said, how do I get the cleanest kick possible in a drop? So there are a couple things that help your kick, and start with a decent sound. Of course, I've made a lot of packs with some really great kicks, the sounds of KSHMR, and there's a lot of great sound packs on the Dharma site that are already just a good starting point. The next thing to make your kick stand out, your sidechain is really good in the drop. Your sidechain on all the instruments. So the purpose of a sidechain is to get out of the way of the kick and to make the kick feel big, really. It gives you this impression that the kick is so big that it's pushing everything out of the way. To my ear, that's what sidechain does. So make sure that your sidechain is really getting out of the way, especially of the first initial milliseconds of the kick. If you have a sidechain that's more relaxed, that's fine, but then add an LFO tool or something and really make sure that the initial click is not being taken up by any of your instruments, and that space is being left for your kick. And then use some transient design on your kick so that the click of your kick really shines through. Oftentimes with sounds, the way that you can make them more apparent to your ear is just by adding beginning. When you raise the whole volume of something, it can take up space in your mix that you don't have. So in fact, you don't always want to raise the volume of something to make it more apparent to your ear. You just want to turn up the transient. Turn up the transient alone doesn't take up much space in the mix, and it makes things catch your ear a lot more. So to make your mix, make your kick stand out in your mix, I would suggest transient design and good use of sidechain. Rory and Ass. Oh, gotta log back in. So Rorian asks, how can I full maximize a song without making it clip or overdrive? Just to sort of recap for myself recently, I was like, yeah, what the hell is the difference between clipping and limiting and everything? So clipping is when a signal passes the threshold of 0 dB or whatever threshold you set, and it goes from essentially a sine wave to a square. So it's being cut off completely. You're going to introduce unexpected harmonics, and your sound is going to be forever changed. It's going to be cut off. It's going to be Ned Stark, head cut off, and the sound is going to distort. Now with invisible. I use invisible limiter, but with any limiter, it's going to compress your sound so it retains the quality of your sound and the tone of your sound, but it just makes sure that it doesn't pass 0 dB. So clipper is cutting it off like just brute force, like just a Neanderthal with the club bashing the top of your sound off. whereas a limiter is going to push it down so you don't reduce noticeable distortion. So how do you really get the most out of that? Well, you can keep pushing it in there. You can use a compressor on the way in. You can level your sounds out so that certain sound, if your kick is really big, for instance, if it's too big, then it's going to be causing distortion before the other sounds get lifted up into the limiter. So take a look at your mix with that and see if you can really get the most out of, making things louder, making your kick not too much louder than other things. Get it beefy, and then send it into the limiter. And there's other tricks, of course. You can use multi-band compression. You got more sausage already. Use sausage fattener. You get even more of a sausage. These are ways that you can, really push it on the mastering side. But a lot of it gets done on the mixing side. And you want to create space for things. You don't want too much, low, mid, muddiness building up. These are all things that later will give your compressor or your limiter a hard time. So you want to just get the mix really as simple as you can. You want, a few main ideas, a few main elements, instruments like your kick, your bass, your synths, and you want them to all have their very individual space. And then when it comes to sending to the mastering bus, you'll have a much easier time. Your compressor will know how to deal with these things. If you don't have too many things taking up too many, a nice individual space. That's often the best way to go. How to write catchy melodies. Oh, no big deal. Catchy melodies. How to write catchy melodies. First, melodies usually have chords under them. So a great way to start is put down some chords that you like. And start writing melodies that go around those chords. Oftentimes you'll find the catchy melodies you hear on the radio and stuff, they work with the scale called the pentatonic scale. That means they're mostly focused on, how do you say this? They skip if you're in C major, right, they skip the 4, which would be an F, and they skip the 6, or 7, sorry, which would be a B. And now you've got a pentatonic scale. And if you listen to Happier by Marshmello, he does that. If you look at, what's that great Porter Robinson song, Shelter with Madeon, he does that also. I actually have a tutorial coming out soon where I talk about catchy melodies and what are some of the patterns that are shared between some of our favorite catchy melodies. You see the pentatonic scale come up a lot. You see playing around the chord that you have underneath happen a lot. And, you see repetition happen a lot. So usually you come up with a theme and you give people, various variations of that theme. I don't want to spoil the tutorial, but maybe should I give people a little sneak peek at the tutorial? Okay. Yeah, why not? Gotta remember what all that. Bear with me, guys. I'll give you a little sneak peek. Okay, great melodies. So, okay, since you asked, I'll give you a little sneak peek at a tutorial that's coming up. First, we look at the pentatonic scale. So to recap for you guys, here, where are we at? Pentatonic scale. We got C, D, E, G, A, and C, right? And I put all of these songs into the pentatonic scale, into the C major scale to show you that they mostly share these notes. So the ones that are not going to be there a lot in the melody are F and B. So finally at the end, to make it a little more sad, Marshmello adds this B, and you get a little moment of sadness. But all the happy, inspirational stuff is all pentatonic scale. Look at that, guys. And he does the same idea here. Let's call this idea A. And we call this idea B. And now we're back to A. And then we just do a different version of B. You see how these go down? These go down. So there's a lot of repetition. A, B, B with a little variation. So a lot of consistency, a lot of repetition. On Shelter, look at this. What do you not see here? You don't see any Fs. You don't see any Bs. I'm not saying how I write music. I write a lot of, like Middle Eastern, Indian, darker kind of stuff. But a lot of these inspirational melodies, they do use a pentatonic scale. And look at this. This is A. This is A with friends. This is A all over again. And then at the end, we do a little, let's go somewhere else to make you want A again. We can't give you A every single time, right? We go to the D here because there's a D in the chord below. But anytime the C is in the chord below, we're doing a C. Here's a longer version of the same thing. So this is Ocean Drive, Duke Dumont, right? Duke Dumont. And this is, look at this. You don't see a B. Do you see an F? There's no F. Wheel of Fortune. No, this is a pentatonic scale you guys are looking at. And he's repeating quite a lot. These notes, whoa. It's like the exact same thing. Whoa. Whoa, that is the exact same thing. So you do a A, you do a B, and then you come back to A, and then you go somewhere else for the last one. So look, there's a lot of similarities with these melodies. So, and then I go into Power over here, which is a kind of a different thing, but there are some similarities. But anyways, guys, if you look at these really happy, catchy, inspirational melodies, they're really quite similar. Pentatonic scale, they repeat something, they do a slight variation, they repeat it again. So if you want to know about melodies, watch this tutorial that's coming up on Worldwide. How to deal with saturation on the mastering process. Well, you can do a little bit of saturation on the mastering process. That's you just look. You could use your ear there. I'll pull up. Here, let me pull something up. Let me see if I have any one of my songs that's like pre-mastering. Oh God, pre comes up a lot, huh? See if that changes anything. No, it doesn't change anything. All right, well, saturation, I would just treat very lightly going into a mastering chain. I'd be a little bit worried about saturating and but I know some guys who swear by it. They swear by clipping. They really love clipping. One thing I might do is I might here you could take this exciter. You could start playing around here. Maybe you do a little tube or tape saturation and start playing with the amounts. And one of the great things about the one in Ozone is that it allows you to mix it down and play with these levels. I don't have a track immediately available to show you, but Ozone is a good one. If I were to do it, I would probably do it with Ozone. I just like the ability to do it all in parallel. Yeah, so that's what I would say about that. One thing I heard is saturating the sides. That's another great feature in Ozone, is that it allows you to select the sides from the mids. And I would really encourage you guys to do more with the sides than you do with the mids. Things that are in the middle are really important to your mix. Those are going to be things like drums, like your kick. And you can have more fun with information that's coming on the side of your track. So yeah, so something to think about. What songs did you have the most fun making? To be honest with you guys, by the end of every song, I hate my life and I hate the song. So that's a tough one. What songs I love making? When I was doing the Enrique Iglesias stuff, I worked with two guys that were Rome, and we were Bay Area guys. I believe Rome was too. And anyway, we had a lot of fun making music all the time. They were super talented, so I always really look forward to all the music that we were doing with Enrique at the time. And of course, Enrique is a really fun guy. And songs for Kashmir that I've done, I'd say, you know, Burn, doing that one with Dallas K. That was a funny story because we went out to a cabin and I was just getting started with Kashmir, and I'd rented this little dinky cabin in Big Bear, which is outside of Los Angeles. And I just wanted to get away from everything and really focus on music. And a bunch of my producer friends who said they would come and they would work on music with me, and none of them showed up except Dallas K. And that's when we made Burn. And Burn came together really quick. We had been working on a different song. We pulled this one up, and we worked out the melody pretty quickly, and it just came together. And then that song, of course, ended up being really a big, huge song for my career. It was the first one that went #1 on Beatport, when that was a really big thing. But hey, respect to Beatport. But you know, that was everything back then, and so that sort of really started things for me. And no song has really been fun to make. I gotta be honest. It's always, I have this thing where I want to exhaust every possible option with the song. So I try everything possible, and it's a crazy neuroticism that I have that I don't wish on anybody. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. Josue Trujillo Loza. What do you take into account when choosing a track and adding it to Dharma Worldwide? Josue, I'm so glad that you asked this question. First of all, at the ethos of Dharma is we want to offer people a look into different cultures. So your culture doesn't have to be Indian culture like the music that I've made, or the songs you've heard on Dharma. I just want an insight into your culture, into your world, wherever you come from. If it's Greece, with a name like Josue, it's probably maybe in Latin America, maybe it's in Spain. I want to get a peek into your culture, into your world, and to feel like we're transported into a world that we're not familiar with yet. You know, to get an idea of the instruments that you use, of the story that you would, that reflects you in some unique way. So we're not just looking for the best EDM bangers, is what I'm trying to say. We want to feel your soul in there, and we want to feel some culture, some insight into the story that you want to tell. And when we find songs like that, then we really give it everything we have, and we try to create the best platform behind it. But that's really it. Great vocals always help. We love songs with great vocals. We're at a time right now where, you know, a lot of people become good at producing EDM music, and the way that you can stand out is by having a great vocal on your track. So, but really anything that offers us a look into your world, into your culture, whatever that is, whatever interests you. If your thing is, you know, Japanese trap, or it's, you know, whatever the case is, we just want to hear something different. We want a taste of your experience and your so that's really what's most important to us. When you send demos, really think about that. If it's just kind of an EDM banger, think twice and maybe reach a little deeper, find some soul that tells a bit more of your story, a bit more of your personality. That's really important to us. When we hear a distinct personality, even if it's not similar to our own, there's something alluring about it. There's something that's just fun to be transported into somebody else's world. You know, so try to bring us there. That's what I add. All right, it looks like we're going to have to wrap it up. I just want to say, guys, Dharma Studio, it means the world to me. We have a team that I think is just incredible work on it. If you haven't signed up yet, go on dharmaworldwide.com, and I'll just show you what it looks like to type it in. So we'll do it together. dharmaworldwide.com, you know, and you click enter, and now you're on the site, and you can sign up, and oh, look at that, it doesn't show the, yeah, great, nice, I'm logged in, baby, I'm already a member. But if you're not a member, you'll see a nice little banner at the top that's going to say put your email in. Put your email in, select a pro account, select a basic account, and once you do, whether it's basic or it's pro, you'll have access to all these resources that are really going to help you as a producer. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Again, dharmaworldwide.com. It's live now. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear what you think. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I love you all so much. And I'll catch you soon. I'll catch you on the site with all the tutorials I'm blabbing about. Okay, guys? So have a good day. And stay safe and stay inside, okay? Love you guys.